see this chart or not. All these pictures are from my operation where I redfish landing. So all the pictures are basically taken off my dock. But it'll still show you how to set up the system to where when you go to a new area, you can anchor out in the deeper water on low tide, take your binoculars with you. Okay? Then you can kind of set up and make a little map. This is going to be stuff that's not going to be on the GPS. You won't see it on a chart. Just little things that are going to make the difference. Just like right here, I want to show you. Right here is what we're going to look. What I look for first is what we call pinch points. Right here is a pinch point. There's oysters here. You got this trough here. Then you got the sandbar on the outside. The main river flow is here. You're going to have a little bit of a water flow here. So what I'm looking for, that's going to pinch. As this tide is dropping down, it's going to, once it gets down low on this bar, it's going to flush all this bait right through here. These fish are going to be laying on the outside on an outgoing tide. On an incoming tide, they're going to be laying up in here. Because that's a pinch point. On the incoming tide, that tide's going to flush this bait and push it around the corner. And they're going to be laying right in the eddy, right outside of that tide. Now, if it's deeper water, they're going to be laying on the bottom behind rocks or whatever. But this shallow water, they're going to be laying behind these eddies and look for those pinch points. Now, this is the same. This is the same area at high tide. If you go there, you know there's oysters here. There's a main flow out here at the edge of a sandbar. So that'll help you. That'll narrow down all this open water out here. That you'll want to concentrate on those points first. Not saying there's not going to be fish out here. There will, but they're going to be mostly moving fish. Feeding fish are going to be laying in. Most of them are ambush predators. They're going to be laying in zones and in zones where the bait's going to be. So they're going to be located in structure. You want to go down and hit this point here. You want to hit this dock. But first I would do is fish this outside sandbar right here before I come in. And what I'm going to show you too is now we're going to set this up basically. Go back to the first one. This first area, I don't know if we'll be able to see it with this red. Okay, so that's going to be over here to the left. So we've got our pinch point here. There's your sandbar. Okay, so we put our chart together. Here's oysters here. So this is our pinch point. Right there. Can y'all see that okay with the lights on?
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Like I said, this is the same area with high tide. Okay. This is another area. Okay. This is actually over here. And I'll go ahead and tell you, that's Good Island. This right here is Good Island. Okay. I'm on the south side of the river. That's where I'm at. Right here, you want to. So you're looking here at low tide. Here's a crab trap. Okay, you're going to see those anyway because the floats are there. But on a tide, when the tide's flowing, don't pass up a crab trap. Okay, especially if you see those guys have been through there within 30 minutes or so. They put fresh bait in there. Crabs aren't the only thing that eats that bait. Okay, you're going to have on the tidal flow, you're going to have bait fish come behind there eating that bait out of the crab trap, and they're going to nest up behind that crab trap in the water flow below it, and behind those you'll have predators come in and attack those bait fish. So I've cast around these. Also here, we've got a point here with oysters. Then you can see, I don't know if you can see it or not, but you can see there's a current flow right here. Okay, so that's the outside edge of a sandbar. That's the same sandbar that we saw over here. So this outside edge of a sandbar there. Over here, like I said, this is why you want to bring binoculars. Right here, that's an oyster bar completely exposed. Back in here, there's water right there. Even at low tide, extreme low tide, there's water in this trough back here. So what you want to do is you can anchor in the deeper water and fish it until the tide comes in. I love the winter tide. I love a low incoming tide. That's what I love to fish. When the incoming tide is low, say like from daylight to 7 or 8 o'clock. So that means that tide, I'm not going to get on the water till 10 o'clock in the morning. So that tide is going to be coming in, and it's going to be increasing between 10 and noon is when that tide's going to be coming up on the flat, which is when those fish are going to be moving up on the flat out of this hole. That's when they're going to start moving. The sun's going to be able to warm this bottom up. Same area at high tide. Again, read the bottom, find out where your oyster bar here. So when you go back, you know that oyster bar is there. So you can ease up there and target the edge of that oyster bar. Another thing I will do is, as soon as the water gets in enough, as soon as the water gets to where I can go across this with my boat and pull back in here, I'm going to go back there and hit this right back here. The reason being, it's southern exposure. In the wintertime, you want to look for southern exposure and dark bottom. Okay? And that's what this trough is going to have. It's muddy water back there, dark bottom, that's going to hold heat. That'll be anywhere from 3 to 5 degrees warmer than the area around it. Those redfish will ease in. This trough comes from this way and from this way. Those redfish will ease in and lay back in there and try to warm up. Okay? It's just like you getting cold in the wintertime and you go and grab a blanket out of the dryer and put it on. That's just what they did. They're going back in there and warm up. Now, this area is in between these 2 points. Right here. Okay, so you got high tide. Where would you start? So you want to know where to start at. Where should I put my first cast?
Good point.
This shows you what the bottom looks like. You got oysters here. There's a little bit of grass here in this trough. Right here, that's the edge of the sandbar. You can see a little bit of a current there. So low tide, this is actually a hole about 5 or 6 foot deep. So what I'm going to do, if I go out while I'm waiting for this tide to start coming in, I'm going to sit in this hole on the outside, not in it. But I'm going to sit close to this hole, and that's where I'm going to fish until that tide changes, because all those fish are going to be huddled down in the bottom of that. So this is the sandbar here coming down, and it goes past, it actually goes out this way, and this sandbar comes over here like this, from this way. Just a little bit deeper here, but right here, that's the hole. And what I'll do, I'm going to anchor, according to the tide, which way the tide's going. But if I'm going to fish this hole, I'm either going to anchor above it or kind of above it to the side. Normally, right here is going to be my first anchor point. Whether I'm fishing with live bait or lures, doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to start, if the tide is going out, okay, we've got an outward flow. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to cast my lure or bait right up in this area and let it flow down. The tide will take it as you work it. It'll drop down. Okay? I do this with flies too. We cast them upstream, let the line sink, and work it around. So what you'll do is, if you'll work it there, these points, work it here. Okay, next cast, drop it down about 5 foot. Work it here. Next cast, drop it down about 5 foot. Work it here. As you get down this way, a lot of times where you're going to get your hit is where it comes downstream and turns. Okay, when that thing, you're working it across stream, one thing I want to point out, one reason I do it this way is because these fish are facing the current. Okay? So if I anchor down here and cast up here, I may be coming across one of them. Okay? Same thing, if I anchor up here, throw down here and come back, I may be coming across one of them, maybe. If I'll take my time, 5 foot increments and I'll make 2 or 3 casts at that same point. Ease it down. You're going to come across every fish that's laying in that current. So what happens to your odds? The more the lure's in front of the fish, the more your odds are going to go up. The key with fishing in saltwater too is you want to keep that lure, you want that in front of the fish's face just as long as you can possibly keep it there. Because if he's not eating, that'll make him eat. And if he is eating, he's going to grab it anyway. Okay, so that gives us a chart area. And we know when we come into this area next time, even if it's high tide, we know what areas to target first and what points to hit. And like I said, this is, it's self-explanatory. You don't know what's the bottom made of, mud, moistures, whatever. Okay, now you do. And if you can just take a sheet of paper and make some notes, doesn't matter. If you make notes on a chart or just put like a number 1, number, oyster bars, put relative numbers. So you can put a number on your chart without having to write oyster bar. And then have a ledger where it's a sandbar, it's an oyster bar, related to those numbers or letters. And this is that same area over here, standing on my dock looking out there. Again, now here you can see that sandbar, you can see that better. That's a sandbar. This is the deeper area of water here. That's the flow there. It's the oyster bar. Back in here you can see there's water back in there, even at this low tide. So again, that's black bottom. You want to look for black bottom, that's where those fish are going to go as soon as they can get in there. Okay, and this is the next thing I want to talk about too, but see, that's birds right there. Okay? Not only pay attention to offshore birds, pay attention to inshore birds. They will be a better fish finder than you could ever put on your boat. This is looking back. Say my dock's right here. Okay? And this is looking almost, not quite. There's an island here. That's this area down here. That area right there is showing from here to over here. I don't quite have Bart's house in this picture. So you're trying to figure out, you come into a new area, you don't know where to start. I'll show you exactly where to go. You can get in there on low tide, look at it. A lot of guys I know will go out skate around with a canoe or a kayak at low tide and go back with their big boat to high tide because then they know how to do it. They know where to go. They know where to stay. You see there's a flow here. You've got an oyster bar here coming off the end of this island. So what I'm going to do is you can tell that's deeper water right here next to these mangroves. Now what I would do is wait for this later in the day because this is a northern exposure. But whenever you go there, you'll know where the trough is at. Now when you go back, you know where it's at. You know where to concentrate. So you know that trough is running right next to this island and coming right by my dock. Okay, it's kind of shallow here. And Art can tell you, I'll stand on my dock or outgoing tide and cast right here. Catch speckled trout, redfish, snook. Cast my neighbor's dock right here. Catch snook, redfish. But I'm fishing the edge of that trough. That's where I'm fishing, and that's where I'm mainly going to get them. Right there on that trough, and they're waiting. There's that point right there. Fishing the edge of that trough. That gives you, it gives you that area. Even though you don't know on high tide, if you can look at it at low tide, you can figure these areas out. Even if they're new to you, this is the best time of year going into the fall and winter. Just pay attention to the tides though, because these are negative tides. Don't get caught. You don't want to get stuck on something. You don't want to get stuck on something on a falling tide. That's the worst time to be stuck, because you may be there a while. And even though it's getting cooler, weather, no sims are still out there. They will screw up. Any questions? Anybody got any questions about this? Yes, sir.
You got a Hell's Bay that floats 5. I've got a Gauls that floats about 9. Are all these areas have channels?
Yeah, they do. And that's the best time
Okay,
to go
so
out.
you
If you
do
go out
it
and ease around whenever, this area where I'm at,
You got a channel to stay safe in?
where I'm at, it's going to be pretty hard for you to get a gauze. You know, you're going to have to idle in there and take it easy, you know, and learn the area. But what I do is, now your boat, if a crab trap is completely sunk, if none of the trap is exposed, you can run that gauze.
Yeah.
Okay? My Hills Bay, as long as no more than half of it's out of the water,
Right.
I can run. Look for your crab traps. Okay? They're going to be running they're going to be basically in the deepest area. Now you do have to watch though, because now there may be a trap over here and a trap over here, and there may be a sandbar in between them. So, you know, you have to watch out for that. But if you can run, you know, you can run your gauze where as long as those traps are submerged, you can run. But not necessarily this area, any area. You know, you ease up there. That's why I say if you go on the outer bar coming into Little Cockroach, or even down below, okay, you come into the outer bar, bring you some binoculars. Ease up on that outer bar as far as you can. Take your binoculars and look inside there and see what's there. See where the holes are at. See where the troughs are running. And that's going to give you an edge when you go in to give you an idea of where to go and what to work. This is another thing that I look for. I'm going to go over this real quick. Oh, any more questions? Okay. I depend on birds tremendously. A lot better than I would depend on my electronics. Okay? I don't know if you're probably the same way.
Yeah.
They'll tell you where the fish are at. What I'm looking at, these birds are ibises. You've got a curved beak. Easiest thing to remember, curved beak, crustacean. Okay? So if they're going to eat crustaceans, they're going to eat crabs, they're going to eat shrimp. They'll eat a bait fish if the opportunity arises. But their main diet is crustaceans. Okay? So if they're feeding in this area, what am I going to look for when I go back to this area fishing? Redfish. Redfish, sheep's head are going to be the main two things that I'm going to be looking for. And if I want to look for redfish and sheep's head, that's one of the places I'm going to go first. This is a pointed beak bait fish. Their main diet is bait fish. So you can watch them, and I'll show you, we'll have more pictures later, but watch for these down low to the water. Pointed beak down low to the water, that means there's bait fish there. And if they're down here, now these are in the water, this Dusty Sprague, we were fly fishing, we was actually easing up the river, and I happened to look over to the side and saw these birds down close to the water. You couldn't see anything going on. I anchored there, and we watched them for a minute. And what would happen was you'd see them run this way, and then bait fish would shower right there. And then see them run over here, bait fish would shower right there. There was glass minnows there. And we caught 6 snook right there on the fly rod. That's another thing you want to watch. These are ibis, curved beak crustaceans. They're actually out here. What they're after out here is bloodworms and crabs. So what's different about the rest of the flat? If they're concentrated in an area, when that water comes up and I can get in here, I'm going to watch this area, and I'm going to work this area. Because that means there's crabs and stuff there, the redfish. So that's one of the places I'm going to target, because they're not over here. And actually, when you get up there, you'll see that bottom's just a little bit different right there. And there's some reason, and it's holding crabs. So like this, where your binoculars come in, if you look at those birds, tell what kind there are. You're out here in the deeper water. This is just around the corner from Broken Bridge. But if you're out here in this deeper water, then just go ahead and fish those holes, and then when you come back in, you know. And actually, you'd be sitting out here fishing this hole over this way because it's just out from the Broken Bridge, and you can sit there and catch redfish, you know, trout, few snook down deep, and then until they get up where you can get back in here. Now, I know a lot of this is maybe geared to shallower boats, but this is the way to learn the area. Go out at a negative tide, even if in your big boat, because then you know where not to go. You eliminate a lot of water, which is a key. You know, it's a key.
Like you said, it's the best time to learn your water.
The best time to learn new water.
Yeah.
If I'm going to a new place, I want to go out there. I went to Big Pine Key. I'd never fished there before in my Hells Bay. I went down there, first thing I did was go out at low tide. Because I knew if I run aground, all I had to do is sit there. So I went out at low tide. Learn the area. If you learn it at low tide, you've got some options. If you learn it at high tide, you can get some serious trouble. This bird, I'm not going to pay. He's up in the trees. He's resting. He's relaxing. So that means nothing's there. If he was down here on these lower limbs, then I'd target this area right here because there's something there. And I'd sit there. What I'll do with these birds now, I'm not just going to run in there and start throwing bait or lure or whatever. I want to sit back and watch these birds for a few minutes. If you'll watch them, first of all, you see the way they're facing, so you know where the bait's coming from. If he was down on this lower limb, pointed this way, that means he's waiting for somebody to push some bait fish up to him. Let him skip up to him. Easy meal. So what I want to do, I want to ease up here just as far away as I can still reach that area. Okay, when I put my calf fly fishing, whatever, I already know the range that they can cast to. So when I ease up here, I'm going to put them at the outer limit of their range. First of all, as a guide, that keeps them out of the trees. But second of all, I don't want to get in any closer to these fish than I have to. I want to stay just as far away, especially in the winter. You got wintertime, clear water, spooky fish. Okay, so I want to stay back as far as I can and work my way in. So I'll ease up in there just to where I can barely, and I'm going to start casting up over here. I'm going to upstream, and I'm going to work my lure slowly down to where it's right underneath that bird, and then work it past him. But I'm going to start upstream from that bird and work that whole area, because these fish, the bait's coming here, so these fish are laying up in this area and possibly under the bird, pushing that bait up.
There's 9 squirrels in there?
Any questions? What's that?
There's 9 squirrels in there where I can catch them with a...
No. There's a bunch of them at my place, but
Yeah.
they're in the oak trees.
Yeah.
My limit on my boat is no further than 8 foot high and no further than 3 foot deep. If you stay within that range, I can get it out of the trees.
I always catch the trees.
Well, you know, as a young man, I was really fortunate. I had a bunch of old timers took me out and taught me fishing.
Yeah.
And the guy that taught me to snook fish more than any of them, he said, son, if you're never hooked up, you're never fishing in the right place. He said, you got to be hooking trees, mangrove stumps, docks every once in a while. He said, or you ain't getting close enough. If you do your homework, it'll pay off. I hope I've given y'all a few tips here that'll help y'all to read the water. My philosophy is get on the water, bend the rod. Best time to go fishing is when you get a chance. All right? That is true. I do want to go over a few things here real quick. We still have time, don't we? Okay. I did this last night. We were geared to fly fishing. Tonight I'm going to gear this. This is actually this spin fishing. These are about 3 or 4 rigs that I'm going to use probably 80% of the time from now until spring. And I'll even use these in springtime. But this, okay, I'm going to be throwing, now this is a DOA, but I normally throw a root beer bass assassin. I only have 2 colors of bass assassin. One's called a drunk monkey, which is a root beer color. And then the other one is white. It's only 2 I need. That don't normally have a chartreuse tail. Now what I do is I rig them upside down with the belly up. I get a better flutter out of this tail if I rig it that way. I don't know. I put a non-slip loop on there, which if what we can do knots one night, that might be a good thing. But I put a non-slip loop is a 95% knot. Okay, so it's a lot stronger than a clinch knot. Plus, it allows that lure, I use this in flies too, it allows that lure to move around a lot more. You get a lot more action out of that. If I'm back in, like I told you, go back in those places where I'm in there an hour before anybody else, where it's a foot deep, 8 inches deep, I'm just going to put a circle hook. A circle hook, a split shot about 6 inches up, and hook it through the nose just like I would. Don't hook it in the body. Hook it through the nose, just like I would a chub, tiger chub. Reason being, if that fish, most fish are going to take a bait fish head first. All right? He takes that bait fish head first, hook's going to lay down right beside him and go right in. If it's buried, you know, you got a little more odds of not hooking up. And then, whenever you're fishing with these circle hooks, do not jerk the rod. All you want to do is reel. We do a thing in fly fishing where we call strip striking. You just keep stripping it until you feel that fish. When you feel that fish, you let him take up the last little bit of slack. And then you set the hook and pull the rod to the side. I do the same thing with spin fishing on my boat. All I want you to do is just keep reeling that thing. If you feel him hit it, give it a little turn of the crank. That'll bring that circle hook up, catch him in the side of the mouth. If you pull it hard, it's going to come right back out. Then when you hook him up, put that rod to the side. If you will fight that, keep your rod, I use a rule of 45 degrees. If you keep that rod less than 45 degrees away from that fish, you're fighting him with the butt. You can tire that fish out a lot quicker, get him to the boat quicker, release him faster. He has a better survival rate. Okay. I know a lot of people have the wrong idea about us captains. We're out there slaughtering fish. Our kids keeping these fish alive. All right. Now you see a lot of them on the programs where they got the rod up like this. They're fighting the fish. That's all for TV. All right. I do not want people on my boat with the rod higher than their head when they're fighting fish. And if you'll fight him to the side, he runs to the left, you pull to the right. He runs to the right, you pull to the left. You'll tire him a lot quicker, get him to the boat quicker, and it will not tire you out as much.
You feel them a lot better too.
You feel them a lot better, you keep the slack out. If you make a long cast, and this is not necessarily inshore, more offshore, but if you make a long cast, and especially with fly fishing, but even spin fishing, and that fish runs straight back at you, drop that rod tip in the water. Don't be up here doing this number. First of all, it's going to wrap around the rod tip. Put that rod tip in the water. What will happen is the fish will drag that line behind him. Keeps tension on the hook. I pitch all my barbs. I'm all barbless hooks. As long as you keep tension on the hook, they will not throw the hook. So if he runs straight at you, drop that rod in the water. He has to drag it behind you. Another key, if you, go ahead.
You were saying about the white, you only have two lures, the white one and the root beer.
No, only two colors.
Two colors, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
two colors. Do you use the white on the clear and the dark on the dark waters? Because I usually tend to do that.
Normally, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And for redfish, I hardly use anything but the drum monkey.
Okay.
I don't care what color the water is. But yeah. Yeah, because if you get it, and I carry it because if I get in the outside and I get some little bit, pinfish, white bait out there, happen to get into them, then I've got a white bait to throw.
It's kind of like a mental thing, you know?
Yeah. Dark water, dark lures. Okay. I had a picture on earlier. My son, we caught snook up the river. We threw purple and black bomber. Tarpon I caught purple and black fly. I had a picture on earlier. My son, we caught snook up the river. We threw purple and black bomber. Tarpon I caught purple and black fly. Dark water, dark lures. Early in the morning, dark lures. Especially if when they look up, it gives a lot better silhouette. I think we're getting a long track. because he asked me what they taste like. When I pull a live shrimp out of the well, if I'm fishing with live shrimp, mostly it's going to be a circle hook with a split shot. Less is more. Okay? All I wanted to be able to get to the bottom. So according to the current, I may have to put on 2 split shots. I may have to put on a small egg. All I wanted to do is get to the bottom. But if I'm going to fish it like I was telling you, I want it to be able to move. Another thing, when you're working this, if you're not hooking the bottom every once in a while, you're not fishing deep enough or slow enough. First thing I want to do when I pull a shrimp out of the live well, I'm going to bite the tail off of it. Shrimp has no flavor till you season them. Okay? What I'm going to do is, I bite the tail off for 2 reasons. One, when that shrimp hits the water, he's going to release a lot more scent than if I didn't bite the tail. Okay? And I either bite him or use clippers. I don't try to pinch him off with my hand because it tears. You want more of a clean cut if you can. I carry scissors on the boat too, but I just bite the shrimp for effect. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that shrimp and I'm going to hook him right here, bottom up. From the bottom to the top. And that's all I'm going to, that's every bit of hook that's going to be in there. Again with a split shot.
Did you go all the way through?
All the way through. I would pass this around down the little.
Bless you.
I'll tell you what, let me put this in. That's how I'm going to fish that shrimp. One reason, aerodynamically, his weight is away from him. So when you throw it, you get 10, 15 more foot when you cast it. Okay. Another reason is, when a shrimp, I want to hook him in the back. Because when a shrimp jumps, he's trying to get away from something, he jumps to the back. If you're flowing that shrimp into, you can anchor up current and just let a little bit of line out, and that shrimp's going to swim. He'll still swim like that. His tail taking off doesn't, it keeps him from jumping back. It doesn't keep him from swimming. So he'll still stay alive. And when I put him on a cork, I do it the same way. Because he'll swim up with that hook, but he'll swim away from it. And then if it's a little deeper water, and I'm fishing those holes, I'll do the same thing. I'm going to use a jig head. Take a jig head, hook that shrimp right about the first, just one section up from the tail. That's it.
What size?
Yeah, about an 1/8 inch.
No, 8 ounce.
1/8 ounce, I mean. Yeah. I was thinking of something else. I was worried about that.
What knot do you tie for the,
I still use non-slip loop. Non-slip loop on my jigs. Yeah. It's like I said, it's a 95% knot. Is plus my jig goes. If I pull that knot, that jig will move around.
Now, when you're using live shrimp, do you just throw it out and leave it, or are you?
No, I'm working it.
Just working it slowly.
I hardly ever. When I do one like that, normally sometimes I'm up current and I'll cast it and let it drift a little bit, settle down, and then that is one of the few times that I'm anchor directly up from the hole. Maybe is when you got a current and I'll throw that shrimp out, let him settle down, then I'll pick him up off the bottom. Current will take him, let him settle down again. You can sit in one spot and work that hole.
Maybe a stupid question. What do you do though? I mean, it happens as far as grass.
Grass? You'll be surprised how little grass that circle hook catches up. That's what I use, that circle hook with the bass assassin or whatever. I use that when it's real grassy, little cockroach. You'd be surprised how well that circle hook, because just a little bit of it out.
Now, you said you were reeling it in. I mean, are you reeling it just to keep it above the grass, or are you trying to get down into it?
Oh, this? I'm using this when I'm fishing a hole.
Right, but you were talking about one of them, when you throw out, you're just a nice slow retreat.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to keep it right above.
Get right above the grass. Well, see, now that's the key with the split shot being about 6-8 inches above the lure. Split shot's going to be hitting the bottom.
Right.
The lure is going to be sitting above the grass. You see what I'm saying?
You don't use a popping cork on them?
I hardly ever do. But I mean, sometimes if I use a popping cork, then I'm using that shrimp with the circle hook.
Yeah.
I hardly ever use a popping cork because I'm not normally anchored up. Yes, sir.
So when you're fishing like that, so if you say bass assassin, that's like the jerk bait, the long
Yes.
stick bait. So if you rig that weedless, like you would like a bass worm, where you just got the tip sticking out along like a bass hook,
Right.
and you don't put any weight on that, and you're fishing in real shallow water, so when you jerk that, it's got that.
Yeah,
action
but
like
this will do the same thing. Plus the nose will settle down better. But the way I hook it, the thing too is when that fish takes that from the front, which way is the hook facing?
Back.
Yeah, okay.
You see what I'm saying? If you feed the hook in and put it in the body itself.
But the action of that in that shallow water, I mean, because you can cast it and it doesn't get stuck in the grass, it doesn't pick up a lot of trash and stuff. So you're saying that's a better.
To me, yeah,
You like that better than you do.
I do this a lot. Yeah, this works a lot better. This works a lot better for me.
Real shallow water.
Yeah, this works a lot better for me.
Now, when do you do the difference as far as rigging a jig?
A jig, I
Standard
use a
or
jig.
rigging it with the circle through the nose? I mean, what makes the difference how you rig?
Well, no, the ones I'm doing in the tail is a shrimp.
No, like the first two. You had one rig
Oh, yeah,
kind of standard, and then you had one rigged on the circle hook.
Yeah.
When
If I
when do you use each one of them?
If I'm fishing a deep hole, I'm going to use a jig head.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, so
But I don't hardly ever use a jig head.
I mean, like
Once you get used to these circle hooks, you don't want to fish anything but circle hooks.
well, we fish all circle hooks. I mean, here's the thing. Our boat, I can float it 12 inches of water,
Yeah.
and I can run my trolling motor. Okay. I mean, I like to have more 14 to 17. So we obviously can't get in a fish 9 inches of water,
Right,
10 inches
right,
of water.
right.
So most of our fishing
Most-
is in the 2 foot thing.
Well, most I'm fishing is 1 to 3 foot.
Right. So do you use
Most
the
of my
jig head then, or do you
No.
just the circle hook with the?
No.
Okay.
Split shot.
It's a split shot. Maybe 2
So
split
circle
shots.
hook right through the front of that jig, not the shrimp.
That's
through
right.
the front of the jig.
Through the front, yeah. And I try to use something with a scent. Bass Assassin has a scent
Right.
to it.
So
You
don't
know,
anything like
I want
that.
something with a scent. Z-Man, I haven't tried those. Some people say they've been working really well. Was that Trigger X? Have you tried any of those? I haven't tried any of those. Because Bass Assassin works for me, so you hardly ever.
So those are better than the DOAs than the bass assassin.
It's whatever you.
Yeah.
It's whatever,
That's you prefer.
for me, yeah, because, I think it has more scent, and I just like, and it's a little bit smaller bait. You gotta remember in the wintertime now, these fish are fixing to turn around, and they're gonna be looking for something little. Because they don't wanna use all their energy to digest something big. Okay? Plus the bait around is gonna be small. So you need to pay attention to what's around and what they're eating. Because the crabs are going to be small, shrimp are going to be little.
So on those paddle tails, are you jigging them at all, or are you just doing a slow retrieval?
Both.
All right,
I'll use both until I figure out a pattern.
okay.
It's just like, one day you can throw it on his nose and he'll turn away, and next day you can throw it 30 foot in front of him, he'll run over and gobble it up. So, but usually if you can set a pattern, that pattern is going to be consistent for at least 4 or 5 days, probably, if not longer. Same situation, yes, sir.
What size circle hook is that? A 1 or 1/0?
That's about a 1/0.
Is that what you fish with normally? A 1/0?
Yeah, no, anywhere from a 1 to a 1/0.
Okay.
I hardly ever go above a 1/0. Now, sometimes if I want to be fishing sheephead, mangrove snapper in the wintertime up in these holes, then I may go on down to like a 2 or a 4. And the trick with sheephead is you have to know to get a sheep's head. The trick is you set the hook just before he strikes. Am I right?
Oh.
Is there any other questions?
One of the things that we I gotta say, the last tournament was the easiest I've ever done because I had more people call me, hey, I would like to give you. So, anyway, one of the things we had was a gentleman is in Texas has got a patent on this jig kit, and it has a
Rattle.
rattler. It's called a Rockport rattler. Now, we gave those away. People that paid to fish in the tournament got some of these. So I have some of these if anybody wants to try them. We were trying to get a buck or two for them or whatever, just to help the club. But it would be something, again, as every guy that's ever come in here has told us, usually they're looking for something a little bit different. Just a little, something
Right.
that says, look at me,
Right.
smell me, whatever. Like you said, if you put it in its face, you're going to make it
That's
eat.
right. The
If
longer
all it's
you
doing is
keep
being
it-
defensive,
That's right.
you know.
That's right.
So here's another way. So, yeah.
Another trick we do too is I'll take this Bass Assassin, rig it up just like I did, but I'll either take clear or maybe if I can find brown colored clear beads like they use for rigging for whatever, normally pink or white, but you can get them at Joann's Fabrics. But I'll get root beer or clear, put 2 of them on your line in front of the split shot. When you jig that, when you move that, those are going to click.
So above the split shot.
Above or it doesn't matter. It'll hit the hook. It'll do the same thing. You put it between the split shot and the bait. But either way, when you reel it up, they're going to slide down. But every time you move them, they'll click together. So that'll make a clicking noise.
And when it comes to like the soft plastics, guys, use what's comfortable to you.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to the scented, you can go buy now. Golf has its own scent in the spray bottle. I know CA has a
Procure.
Procure. You can sit there and buy and stick on there the whole 9
Right.
yards. So use what you're used to using.
Right.
You can trim them up, take some scissors, cut them down to size, cut them in half, do whatever it is you want to. But when it comes to the scent, pick your poison on it. And now they even have the golf that come in the tubs
Yeah.
that you can sit there and put other plastics in there. Because I know Jay-Z and I take some of our grouper, we use soft plastics when we troll for grouper, but we'll take those soft plastics and we'll stick them in that Ziploc bag that has that golf set in there. Just because it stinks and they want it.
It'll change the color of your lure, so you may want to keep an eye on that.
With Jay-Z and I, they don't last long anyway.
All right.
So you said during the winter you're using small. So like this time now you're using
Yeah.
bigger?
Yeah. Of course, the Bass Assassin, I basically use the same size all year round.
What's the,
Because I'm backcountry, so it's imitating a chub, a tiger chub. It's what we used to call snook candy.
So if you're
It's a
out,
tiger chub.
if you're out more like we were talking about in a little bit, so would you use a bigger then or would you still just stay?
I'd still stay pretty small.
hey, Jim, what do you do if you've got small bait, Jim?
I bring Steve Hoffman. Go ahead, Steve. No.
There's a
Tell me
dog.
talking artificial.
I heard it for 6 hours on the phone.
Jim caught a number of small baits in the cast net. And just for something different, on one of the shows, TV shows, somebody had said to make a little teaser of it. And we took the small hooks with one bait in the head and one bait in the tail, so they fought each other, but you took something that looked like this size, and with both of them running,
Right.
made it bigger,
Right.
and it worked.
Right. Right.
First cast he throws out. God almighty, I can't believe I'm saying this. First cast he throws out, boom, gets a trout on. And he looks at me and he's laughing. I don't know Steve. So he goes, try it. I didn't want to because if it worked, I'd never hear the end of it. So he said, try it. Tried it. The cork wasn't even wet and I had a trout on. For the next 6 hours, I heard nothing about, you gotta call Mike and Billy and tell them about the teaser. You gotta call Mike and Billy and tell them about the teaser all day long. It worked. It was something different.
Yeah.
They were fighting each
Well, it
other.
creates a bigger profile. Gets their attention.
We ended up hitting 16 trout. Boom, 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 boom.
Right. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Ever talk about short fishing?
About what?
Short fishing.
Shore fishing?
What about people who don't
Well,
have
we
a boat?
can, yeah, we
Wade
can.
fishing?
Yeah, we can do a wade fishing thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's other guys around. I don't, it's like a guy called me one day and he wanted to do a charter. He said, well, I want to do a wade fishing charter. I got a condo in Clearwater. I come down in the wintertime, I want to learn how to wade fish. I said, well, I got a Hell's Bay boat. It floats in 5 inches of water. What do you want to wade for? You know. So needless to say, he did. I said, sure, I'll take you and I'll teach you how. But he wanted to learn the techniques. But he never got his feet wet. You know, I took him back in the shallow water and showed him the techniques to do, the baits to use, how to rig them up. You know. Now that guy, you know, I do charters like that. I do charters where people come here, and I know they're local. Okay, they're not going to find my secret spot, but I'm going to show them some spots that they can go to and catch fish. My neighbor there, Art, I'll take him out there, show him some spots. Of course, he'll take me out there and show me some spots. So you know,
When you're doing that wade fishing, if that's what you like to do, if that's the only thing you're able to do, all the same tactics apply. Except for the fact that actually in some cases, a wade fisherman might have a little bit better advantage because you're going to be able to get in places that somebody in a boat can't get to, but the same, look for the point, look for the sandbar, look for the tide line, look for this, it's all the same. Except you're going to be using the same exact bait, the retrieval's going to be the same, everything's going to be the same except for the fact that I'm standing in fiberglass and you're standing in mud.
all this stuff I told you about negative tides, wade fishing applies.
My kayak works fine.
You know, if you look back in there, if you go there, go to an area when it's got a negative tide, and first of all, you can see the bottom, so you know what you're dealing with. Okay, you know if it's going to be a sandy bottom or a muddy bottom. But you can see, because if you can get to where that one place where we had a shallow, and then the trough was in the back with the black water, okay, you can get in there before anybody else. If you can wade, you can wade across there. Because I know guys that will fish close to me, because what they'll do is they'll come in the outside bar. Outside of Little Cockroach. They'll come to that outside bar. They can't go any farther. They'll anchor their boat there. Then they get out and wade on into the mangrove edge and fish it. Same as Port Manatee. They'll stop at the outside bar, get out, and then they'll wade. But all these things apply.
Most of the wade fishing that we ever did before we got the boat was there at Simmons. It's a great little, I don't know of a nicer park on the West Coast.
Port Manatee used to be great when I was a kid. I'm fourth generation in this area, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm
that
an
was
Orvis and Norse
75
guy.
years ago.
What's that?
That was 75 years
Yeah.
ago.
They had both things.
I'm an Orvis and Norse guide. I'm a Hells Bay guide. I grew up fishing this area, pulling old gillnet cast net skiffs made out of cypress wood. That's why everybody says, how can you pull this boat all day long? I'm one of the few, there's not a whole lot of us in this area that pole the boat any length of time. 70% of the time I'm on the water, I'm on the pole platform. But it's because, man, when I grew up, when I was 10, 12 years old, our pole was a big cypress pole that weighed 30, 40 pounds. And we were pushing a boat that weighed 1,500, 2,000 pounds with a net on it. We didn't have a motor. So, you know, Hells Bay is nothing. It weighs 600 pounds. Soaking wet. And it tracks true, and it's easy to pull. But I just love it. I'm on the platform, and I can see everything. I go out there so many days, I can't tell you, and never pick up a rod. Go back in a Little Cockroach, and I just get up and pole. Because I got to know where the fish are at. I got to know what they're doing. So I'll get on the platform and just pole back through them. And I take people back in there and pole them through that water, especially when it gets clear. And it's amazing the life that's back there. People come from Europe, they can't believe it because osprey to them. To see one osprey to them is exciting. We'll be back in there in the mornings, and there'll be 6 ospreys fishing in Little Cockroach. And it's just awesome. I mean, the dolphins. I love the porpoise dolphin come around. I love it. If you'll watch dolphins, when they work a flat, if you'll watch them, they'll show you where the fish are at. I can show you spots right in front of my house where it's just a depression. But every time those dolphins come in there, they're going to circle that because they'll show you where those holes are at on that open flat if you've never been on that flat before. If you'll watch them, they'll show you because they'll work that flat, and then you'll see them hit an area, and all of a sudden they're working it. That's a place where fish normally stay.
Hey, Cap, after you lose a couple of cast nets, you won't like the porpoises anymore.
I don't throw cast nets on. Yeah, I don't. Well, and you know, I had one guy tell me the other day that they've got one over. Where was it at? He said it's close to the Skyway.
Yeah.
Before dark, though. He's not after daylight. But he comes and he said he'll pull the net, shake it, and get the bait out of it, and and rip holes in it.
Oh, he goes right into you, that breaks it
Yeah.
out apart, yeah.
See,
Don't go to the port soda pier.
Yeah, for this
Well,
up here, that's.
that's
I don't
where
have,
the
yeah,
holes
that's
I don't go off the 6 foot mark. That's as far as I go, is run the 6 foot line.
How often do you wade fish, sir?
Well, we've only been here a couple of months, so we've done it twice.
I do want to tell you,
I'm gonna give you a quick tip if you're gonna wade fish, especially around here. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, of stingray. Get a good pair of wading shoes. Up here, Flint Creek Outfitters,
Yep.
off of Bell Shoals and Poyette. There's a great place to get them. We're over here at Southshore Bait and Tackle, but the key to it, get you a good pair of wading shoes. Because you step on a stingray just right, you'll know it.
Yeah, you gotta
well,
shuffle your
and
feet.
the key is don't pick your feet up.
Shuffle.
Shuffle your feet. At least drag your toes. Because if you touch them on the side, they'll flutter and go off. If you step on top of them, they'll pop you. And it does hurt. If you do get stung by a stingray or a catfish, first thing you want to do is run that under just as hot of water as you can stand it as soon as possible. Whether it's exhaust, whether you run back somewhere and let somebody run hot water. If you run hot water on it, their poison is a protein. Okay? It cooks at low temperature. If you cook the protein, it dissipates the poison. Okay? So that's just a little tip. I got all kinds of useless knowledge. So.
Jellyfish and pee.
Anybody else have any
Any other
questions?
questions?
Yeah, I got one more. Steve, I didn't find the guarantee for these little catch fish. I didn't find it over there.
No more questions, guys?
I'll have about 28 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Also, now my website is redfishlandingguideservice.com. Okay? You can email me. If you have questions, especially about fly fishing, but any other questions, you're welcome to send me an email. I'll send you an answer back, hopefully. If I don't know it, I can get in touch with somebody that does.
So if we email you where to go, you'll tell us?
Well, no. Well, yeah, I'll tell you where to go. I do a lot with
the bay. He said
I do a lot with Danny Garino, Rick Lyles. You know, we're three guys that grew up this area, and they're the few captains that I talk to because I'm up on the flat. I normally see bait on the flat before they do. They're running it up to the Skyway. So, you know, that's a relationship that we have. If I see bait up there, I'll tell them. Then if I see it 3 days in a row, I tell them it's been there. And they don't have to run out to the Skyway, especially with fuel being like it is. But both of those guys are great. And like I said, any way I can help you, be glad to.
You got any of your business
I
cards?
do this because I love it. Okay? I don't do it for a living.
You got plenty of business cards?
Yeah, I've got a few here. I get some more in the truck.
And then Dad's going to get your link to your website. We'll put it on our website. That way they see your name. Just click on your name and it'll go operate to your website. So you can get it going that way. All right? Thank you so much.
Excellent.